Hi, this is my Shrines of Oleth devlog number 1. I wanted to break down the ideas for the game, show you what I've already made, tell you what I'm planning on making in the future, and hopefully get some of your feedback. So, first things first, the idea for the game is I wanted to create a board game where you're going through a dungeon and you've got randomized elements such as the dungeon itself, and I wanted there to be a level of creativity for the players so that they could literally make any kind of character that they wanted. So the idea started out with that. I want players to have creativity as they're playing the board game. And I didn't want it to be a deck builder per se, because then like you would make your deck as you play the game. I wanted it to be so that people could come to the game with a pre-made deck that had their character, their unique character, their unique play style incorporated into the game. As you can see, I've already got 2 characters here made. So the idea for the game currently, for the gameplay loop, is it's kind of like Betrayal at House on the Hill. You all start here on the starting tile, and then you explore the dungeon, and you get certain events, if I can find some. So anything with numbers has like a written event on it, and that will be described in the rules book. And then anything with a green circle has a monster appear in that. So this one would have a monster and a written event. And then this one just has a written event. So this is an example of an item. So if you land on this one, or if you discover this one, you get the item. And if you discover this one, then a monster appears. The game's title is Shrines of Oleth. So the idea, and this is also taken from Betrayal of a House on the Hill, you're going to find a tile, or 3 tiles is actually what I was originally planning. I still have some work to do. You discover 3 tiles, and then based on the combination of tiles that you discovered, or whichever tile was the last one you discovered, it will have a new boss, a boss monster that you have to kill, and that ends the play of this session. For these characters, I've got just basic ideas for a plague doctor and a vampire knight. You can actually play as 2 different characters, though you have to pick which one you want to play as during the game. You pick one of these. They have different abilities and different stats sometimes. This one has the same stats, but I mean, I'm willing to change that. I just am trying to get a prototype out. This is how many mana points you get every turn. So at the start of your turn, you would draw a card, and then you would get 2 mana. For now, I just have little blocks, but I have dice set up in the game to do that. Draw like 5 cards to start, right? And then they have different skills, abilities, and all sorts of interesting ideas. The Plague Doctor kind of runs on the idea that you're going to be playing with poison counters a ton. A poison counter, this is still just a developed idea, is a counter that deals 1 damage at the end of enemies' turns, and it has 2 of them. So it's 1 turn, and then it flips over, and it's after that next turn, it goes away. So it deals 2 damage, but it's over time. This one is a attack card. So what it basically means is any creature or target on the same tile as you, because it has 0 range, so it has to be the same tile as you, you can attack them for 3. Whenever you attack, you're going to roll that many d6s, or 6-sided dice, and you're going to compare it to their defense score. So you can see the shield here. That determines the number on the dice that you must beat in order to deal damage. So if I'm going to roll 3 dice against a 2 shield opponent, every dice that I roll that's above 2 is damage. It's 1 damage. So this has the potential to deal 3 damage and the potential to deal 0 damage. But it's a simpler concept than what I did on Legends of Nara. Let me go through some of these stats on your character. This is the range for basic attack. This is the basic attack itself. What you can do is you can spend 2 mana instead of using a card. That's why some of these cards, this one, for example, costs 0, but you can attack for 3. So you can spend 2 mana and attack. And the reason why I have that is so that if you have 0 cards in hand, or if you just don't have any attack cards, you can attack. It's not great, but there are characters, for example, the Vampire Knight, who can increase that standard attack, which is that's kind of where I went with him, is increasing that attack for everybody, making his playstyle possibly go in that direction. This is how many tiles you can move in a turn, but whenever you discover a new tile, you actually stop and you cannot move anymore. Obviously, your shield, how much you can block, and then how much damage you can take before your character faints. Currently, I have an idea for fainting characters. If you want to revive your character, you have to be on the same tiles where they died, and then you discard your hand. But you have to have a minimum of 3 cards discarded in order to revive them. So I think that'll add some extra playability for people who die, but also creating some difficulty in the future. As I was saying with the Vampire Knight, he also has 2 characters. They have 2 different abilities. When you use a card, gain 1 health. Each time you kill 2 enemies, draw a card, right? So, I mean, they can totally change. Yeah, they're not permanent whatsoever. But he has more health, more shield. He's going to kind of be more tanky than the Plague Doctor. The Plague Doctor's not really supposed to go up to things often. That's kind of your last resort whenever you're just like, well, I have nothing else to do. Throw the towel in. The Vampire Knight is a pretty interesting guy. Most of his cards are based on the idea that you are going to deal damage to yourself so you can do more effects, or get health back, right? So enemies within range cannot move closer next turn. Any damage dealt by this card is returned to you in healing. So that's an example of a healing card, but it also deals damage, which is very convenient. This is a strong attack card. It's stronger than most at the cost of health, which is interesting. Maybe I should have it so that whenever one of your cards make you lose health, you get some kind of bonus. That would probably be a good idea. This is an interesting one because it increases the damage or the attack dice of all abilities by 2. So this can be used for 3 turns. Turns notch down at the beginning of each turn. So you play this and you have the rest of the turn where you still get this ability, and then the next turn and until you hit 0 on your timer, and then this card goes away. This one just heals. You can target anybody, though. That's why the range is on there. If there was no range, it would target yourself. So this is where I'm at so far. I have a couple more characters that I want to make. Specifically, I want to make a Holy Dragon Knight is one. He's kind of going to focus more on shielding, but also some healing aspect as well. The idea of the game is that you could potentially do a scenario or a session where you're just playing on your own. You can play with one character and successfully beat the dungeon. It should be possible. And that's kind of the direction I would like to go, so that you can play this as a solo player. I think that would be a lot of fun. And you can also, as a solo player, play as 2 different characters with 2 different decks that work really well together. That's kind of like what is so exciting about this. I love the idea of being able to say, hey, this is the kind of deck I'm making. Like, let's try and cooperate and make decks that like build off each other and create something really powerful. So like I was saying, I am going to make a Holy Dragon Knight, who's kind of going to focus more on like increasing shield for the party, heals, holy spells, those kinds of things, dragon breath. So that's going to be fun. I've got a lot of statuses that I'm going to include as well, like fear, courage. All of those things will be incorporated. In fact, the vampire is supposed to do courage tokens on players. That I probably need to go through a bunch of his cards and change them. Like I said, this is just a prototype. I would like to make things better and more unique, but I am limited in my creativity. I also wanted to make a spirit shaman where he summons a bunch of creatures, or he has elemental powers that can also cause status effects. So the poison is a status effect. There's all sorts of ones on there that I am planning on making. I've got a lot more in store. I've got crazy ideas, but I was making this because I wanted to know what you guys think, and I want to know if this is something that is exciting, if it's something that you can already kind of see as well, the vision that I have. Being able to go home, make your own deck, and then go and meet your friends or meet online and bring your deck to the table and say, this is my awesome character, let's play. That's kind of the idea that I wanted for this game, and I think there's a lot of potential there, especially if I do it right. And so I really want your help. I want to know what you think, and I want to know what I need to do to make this better. I am super down for criticism. As long as it's constructive. This is what I'm working on. I'm going to make a video going through the deck lists of each character. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.